In the previous 200 years or somewhere in the vicinity, we've all cooperated and figured out how to concoct significantly progressively inventive approaches to end life on Earth as we probably am aware it. The development of black powder itself was a phenomenal advancement in mass butcher. The passing checks of certain wars removed whole pieces of our populace, however the innovations of the coming hundreds of years would make that look tame in correlation. One risk, however, has stayed unaltered for whatever length of time that we can recall. We despite everything don't pay attention to it as well. The coronavirus story is breaking as we compose this, with cases detailed in nations around the globe. It has totally separated administrations in China and close-by nations, getting one of the most innovatively created nations, and the remainder of the world, by surprise. The reason this ongoing breakout has stunned everybody is that we've overlooked that the greatest risk to human life isn't nukes or whatever else, however pandemics. Indeed, even with all our cutting-edge innovation, some of which may even neutralize us during episodes, the danger of an infection appearing suddenly and finishing human progress as we probably am aware it is still as genuine as it generally might have been. 1. Globalization is making things worse, not better. One would feel that due to the world being as associated as it is today, irresistible infections stand substantially less of a possibility than some other time ever. It's consistent with a degree, as well, as our connectedness propels our aggregate information in different fields, particularly medication. On the off chance that you can get data on an illness in a confined piece of the world, scientists from around the globe can contemplate it and develop guards against it. The issue is, however, that when a genuine episode, like 2019 nCoV, happens, those advantages of worldwide systems neutralize us. The greater part of the occasions, we essentially don't have any approach to distinguish the infections, as they're quite often obscure strains nobody has seen previously. More on that in a piece. So now, with immense, interconnected systems to ship individuals around the globe yet no real way to tell in the event that they're contaminated, episodes can arrive at a lot further and create resistances before we can even identify them. The avian influenza flare-up, for instance, was a more grounded, already obscure strain of an infection discovered uniquely in winged animals, and is likely an old ailment that wasn't a risk until it was. 2. Pandemics have killed far more people than anything else. The explanation we don't look at pandemics as a genuine enough risk is because of our conviction that we're presently progressively invulnerable to them, or that they don't murder the same number of individuals as different things, similar to nukes. While the facts confirm that ongoing progressions in recognition and treatment of pathogens has improved us at battling them, there are additionally a greater amount of them currently, including strains that have never contaminated people. For the passing check, passings from pandemics dwarf some other calamity occasion in history by a long shot. You don't have to go into the past, whereas of now in the center of many genuine pandemics. The AIDS infection has murdered around 40 million individuals at this point. The flu influenza causes around 80,000 to 100,000 yearly passings in the US alone, which is just a small amount of its worldwide passing include of 650,000. Even ever, worldwide pandemics are by a wide margin the greatest operators of mass demolition we have ever observed. Simply take the Justinian plague, which murdered around 100 million individuals over a range of numerous hundreds of years. At its pinnacle when it initially broke out, it said that around 10,000 individuals were kicking the bucket to it consistently just in Constantinople. The Spanish flu killed over 100 million surprisingly fast, which began during the 4-year-long WW1 the war with the second most elevated demise check ever of 40 million. The reasons these infections neglected to kill everybody are many. The Spanish flu, for instance, simply chose to get milder as time passed by, looking at us without flinching and saying that it decides to save us. The world wasn't as interconnected as today during these maladies, either. On the off chance that a reinforced strain of any of those infections returns, you can be certain that it would have a lot greater effect today. 3. Every new outbreak requires working from scratch. At the hour of composing this, various nations, including the US, have forced required isolate methodology at their significant air terminals. Nations around the globe have likewise forced crisis well-being alarms to keep 2019 nCoV out, however cases are jumping up continuously. China, is by all accounts in lockdown mode, as more than 200 individuals have kicked the bucket and 10,000 contaminated by the coronavirus. It makes one wonder, for what reason do we get ourselves so caught off guard for ailment flare-ups each couple of years? It's basic, our clinical innovation is as yet not propelled enough to identify and discover remedies for new flare-ups. Past clinical information doesn't make a difference to new strains, which require new appraisal and determination. That burns through valuable time, as well. In the vast majority of the most noticeably terrible pandemics ever, the majority of the passings happened in the underlying days, before individuals could discover approaches to contain it. Without a doubt, that was as straightforward as possibly not dozing close to where you crap in the medieval times, yet even present-day plagues, like the Spanish flu, were the deadliest in their underlying days. Each new episode, despite everything, requires understanding the pathogen without any preparation, which thusly influences our capacity to adequately react to the crisis.